Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.
Coinbase buys Earn.com. Prominent ICO investor Balina gets hacked for over $3 million. Muslim clerics declare Bitcoin compliant in terms of Sharia law. And Pornhub starts accepting Verge. Those are your headlines, and you're watching Crypto Trader on CNBC Africa. The primary principle behind any blockchain project is, of course, decentralization. The distributed ledger technology has not only allowed for decentralization of computing power, but also for decentralization of contribution to projects. If this experiment in decentralization is successful, the blockchain revolution will go down in history as the revolution where people came together from different countries, languages, skills, in an informal way to disrupt almost every industry in the world. But for a community that prides itself on decentralization, the crypto community sure does centralize a lot. They meet for conferences at the most exotic destinations. This week, we're centralizing at a destination that has all the makings for a perfect crypto conference. A hub for new money not only from the Gulf area, but from the rest of the world too. Home to some of the best hotels, the best restaurants, the trendiest nightclubs, and 7-lane highways that are fit for any sports car. So on a week where the Muslim clerics declared investing in Bitcoin compliant in terms of Sharia law, we find ourselves in the crypto mecca that is Dubai. There was an announcement that the Bitcoin is now halal or compliant with Sharia law. Do you think that that's going to drive the Bitcoin price up?
Oh, really? Yeah, I heard about it when we were coming to this show, to the World Blockchain Forum. And what I'm thinking is that the regulations are finally becoming like more benign.
Do you think that makes a difference to the price of Bitcoin?
I think everything that is a positive like that, an acceptance, is going to be positive for the Bitcoin worldwide.
The price will definitely go up. It's just a matter of time.
Or do you think that this is going to open a new market for Bitcoin?
Absolutely, because always anything that includes interest, and that is prohibited in Islam, and Bitcoin doesn't include any kind of interest in this. So only the lending platforms that are providing kind of interest to only. Those will be affected with this, but other platforms that are not providing any kind of interest, that's just kind of an investment where you are into profit sometimes, you are into loss sometimes. So absolutely, a lot of Muslim countries will be dealing in that kind of, will be investing in that kind of stuff.
Last week, a prominent Muslim cleric declared Bitcoin compliant in terms of Sharia law, and effectively opened up the market to 1.6 billion Muslims who were unsure whether they could invest in Bitcoin or not invest in Bitcoin. Now, this move came as Bitcoin went from $7,000 to $8,000 and broke through all the technical levels to put us back into the bullish territory after a 3-month bear market. Mr. Korean Jew, or Jake,
yes. Is
this what caused the price to go up from 7,000 to 8,000?
I think in some regard, yes. This is sensational news. It is not to be underestimated. 1.8 billion new investors into our market, plus a heightened sense of awareness. However, I do think also the culmination or ending of the U.S. tax season on just passed, we were one catalyst away from getting back into this bullish territory, and lo and behold, this new news is really something that's driving the price at this point.
Are we over the bear run that started in January, February?
Well, I believe we are on the verge of starting a new uptrend. However, the next few weeks or so, in my opinion, you'll see some sideways action.
Well, let's not talk about Bitcoin anymore. Let's talk about some of the other coins. What are your favorite coins that you're watching at the moment?
Okay, Wanchain is really kind of the crown jewel. I believe this project has the ability to break into the top 15, top 10 market cap tokens.
Now, why is Wanchain such an important token in the token ecosystem?
The Wanchain is going to address a lot of issues as far as interoperability. They're partnered with Icon and Aeon, which are two also outstanding projects, And they're going to allow for people to move funds directly through the Wanchain, build on top of Wanchain on different blockchains, but all using Wan. So for instance, you could send Ethereum and directly to Bitcoin on Wan. And it's a really a new concept that we're going to have to see how they execute, but I believe their team is strong enough to pull it off.
Now, Bitcoin went up to over $8,000. The alts had a great spike as well. In fact, if you look at the percentages, the alts went up much faster than Bitcoin went up.
Yes.
Is this going to be alt season again?
Well, that is the billion-dollar question per se. Alts, the purpose of investing in alts is to always accumulate more Bitcoin, at least in my opinion. And what you saw last year around December was Bitcoin spiked up to 19K and alts took a hit. And everybody's, oh, my alts, my alts. Then when Bitcoin retraced down to 14,000 and stayed in that range, the alts had a big party. So it's curious to know what will happen first. Will alts go up first or will Bitcoin go up first? I think the best approach is to take a modified portfolio allocation where you're holding some Bitcoin as well as your alts. But looking at alts now, I would say the sellers are starting to dry up. So it's a great opportunity to get into some alts.
We've had selling season for about 3 months now, and I always thought that the sellers were drying up because you could see that the bulls were keeping the price up and they wouldn't let
There's certain levels that certain coins will not go under. So for instance, you're asking about altcoins. There's one that's a tremendous opportunity. It's called Luxcoin. This is an American privacy coin that when you compare it to other privacy coins like Verge, Monero, Z Classic, which now became Bitcoin Private, these are billion-dollar market caps, huge projects. Luxcoin is only at 10 million, and it's a combination of basically Dash and Ripple, which is giving privacy to banks. Now Luxcoin, if you follow Twitter, John McAfee just kind of tweeted them in a public way. So you have McAfee who supported Verge. I think at 10 million market cap, Lux has amazing upside.
What other tokens are you looking at?
I am looking at Icon, of course, the Korean Ethereum. Korea is a market that's democratic. They're very pro-crypto. They have an election coming up where any politician who is to go against crypto, that's a death sentence for them. Icon is such a fantastic project, partnered with the biggest companies, universities, and hospitals in Korea. In my opinion, there's no doubt that this thing doesn't go to the moon.
Let's take a look forward into 2018 or towards the end of 2018. How do you see this year ending off for crypto?
I think we're going to have a phenomenal end of the year. One thing to take note of is in July, G20 did issue the statement that they have to nail this regulation. So I think going into July, there may be some fear in the market. That would be a good time to reload. But once we kind of hit our stride in Q3, early Q4, I think we're just going up.
Now, earlier this week, popular ICO investor Ian Balina got his portfolio hacked while he was doing a live stream of his daily video. The hackers made off with over $2 million of his tokens. Doing some deeper investigation, we found out that what actually happened was that they hacked into and reset one of his college emails. And once they'd done that, it sparked off a series of events which allowed him to get access to his laptop and then his Evernote where he stored his private keys. With me to talk more about this is Crypto Bobby. Bobby, this Ian Balina hack, what do you make of it?
I think it goes to show the need for a concentration on personal security in the crypto world. I think, especially for public figures and somebody like Ian, who kind of marketed himself in a lot of ways by posting his portfolio publicly online and talking about that. Personal security is a huge thing, and you really have to take that seriously, especially if you have multiple millions of dollars in cryptocurrency. You need to take it seriously.
Let's look at some of the tokens that were taken out of this portfolio. I valued them at over $2.5 million. I've got a list over here. We've got Nucleus Vision was his biggest holding. We've got Loom, $400,000 worth of Loom. Loom is the gaming token. Yep. We've got Power Ledger. We've got 100,000 Power Ledgers. These are quite quality tokens that Ian had taken out of his portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think absolutely he definitely had a variety of tokens, or did have a variety of tokens in the account, and I think, mostly ERC20 based, so I'm kind of curious. I know, like you said, his Evernote, his old college emails hacked, then it led to his Gmail being hacked, then it led to his Evernote being hacked. I'm kind of curious why the private keys were stored on Evernote. I think that's an unfortunate circumstance, but yeah, it's a pretty high valued portfolio that's gone now, so it's unfortunate.
So great tokens all gone, got in the hands of the hackers. Let's talk about the mistakes that Ian made. First of all, storing your private keys on Evernote. Is that advisable?
I think storing your private keys anywhere in the cloud is not advisable by any stretch. I think was one of his biggest mistakes. I think two-factor authentication on every email account that you use is huge, but not having your crypto, especially when you have that level of monetary value, it needs to be in cold storage. It needs to be on a ledger, on a Trezor, something like that, and you need to have your backup seed recovery phrase not in the cloud, accessible to hackers.
Ian Balina is an astute investor. He's been in crypto for a while. Why was he storing his private keys on Evernote? It baffles my mind.
I can't answer that. I think it's crazy to think about, but yeah, it seems like maybe there was more of an emphasis placed on on just investing and not as much on the security of it. So it's rough.
So let's give our viewers some advice as to where they should store their private keys. Where do you recommend, or how do you recommend that people actually store their private keys?
I'm a huge fan of hardware wallets. I think Ledger is what I personally use, but Trezor, I think KeepKey, there's a couple other ones, but I think hardware wallets, whether it's Bitcoin, ERC20 tokens, Ethereum, I think those pretty much cover the bases, and then just keeping that in a safe place. If you keep that in a safety deposit, depending upon the amount of money, I think you can get pretty creative, but there's a lot different that you could do rather than keeping it online in a hot wallet and that information backed up in the cloud. You definitely don't want to do that.
So after the hack, Ian Balina posted on his Twitter, and he appealed for his crypto family to help him find the hacker. And he mentioned that he's not really after the money anymore, but he just wants the hacker to be found. Is there any chance that they can find the hacker?
There's been so many hacks that have happened in the crypto world, and I feel like it's been very, very, very few times that those hackers are ever found. So I would say I'd be doubtful that somebody would actually be able to determine who this individual or who this group of people was that hacked his account. So I would say I doubt that happens, just from seeing past experience of other hacks happening and nobody really getting caught.
Now explain this concept to me. In the blockchain, and if you click on Etherscan, you can see exactly where the tokens went. You can see them leaving Ian Balina's account, and the hacker actually even labeled it Ian_Balina hack 1, hack 2, and hack 3. You can see where all the tokens go. So how is it that you can't track the hacker?
So if they're smart enough to get into your backup email, and then they're smart enough to get into your email, and then smart enough to break into your Evernote, I think from a security perspective, they probably know what they're doing. There's a lot of different ways, I'm sure, that they can end up washing those tokens to transfer them to an exchange somewhere, to transfer them to something like Shapeshift, to move that to Monero or anything like that. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways that you can track and see where those tokens are now. It doesn't prevent them from getting moved somewhere else in the future, although that individual that probably hacked it is, I would assume, smart enough to not tie himself or herself to that in the future.
Now, I read in some articles that people said he faked the hack to save on his taxes. What do you make of that allegation?
I hope that's not true. I think he came out and said that isn't the case. Even now, that doesn't affect his 2017 tax liability regardless. So I just got my email from my accountant yesterday, and that's fun. So I don't think that affects 2017, 2018. It might, but you'd hope that wouldn't be the case for somebody to do that. But yeah, there's certainly rumors and allegations about that around.
I must say, I've spoken to Ian a lot since the hack, and even before the hack, he's been a regular on our show, and I don't believe that those are the motives here. I think he really was hacked, and unfortunately, I think more than $3 or $4 million worth of tokens have been taken.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And to our viewers, let that be a lesson to all of you. Crypto means that you have to store your own tokens and your own private keys. You're responsible for your own security. It means that there's no one to phone and there's no way to track your tokens when they're gone.
You are a trading master. You see trading opportunities where others see coincidences. Charts and patterns are everywhere. You can run with the bulls or be at one with the bears. So don't waste another pip and take your talents to eToro. See why so many top traders choose us as their main trading platform. Start trading on eToro today.
So speaking of the blockchain revolution, as we called it, one of the most important components in this revolution is cross-chain protocols. And as you may recall, last year we featured Wanchain, which is one of the most prominent cross-chain protocols out there. When we featured Wanchain, it was part of the ICO, and at the time you could buy tokens for about 35 cents. Today, if you want to buy those tokens, they're about $6. Now, the team haven't been quiet as we've thought. The team have been working on a whole lot of things, as Dustin Byington's been saying on stage. Dustin, there are talks that you guys have been quiet, that you've disappeared from the ecosystem. Where have you guys been?
Well, Rand, thanks for having me on the show. We've been busy. We've been very busy. One of the things we've been working on is WanLab, which is Wanchain's blockchain accelerator. The thing that we believe strongly to be true is that our platform is going to be judged by the quality and quantity of applications built on top of it. And it's not sufficient to just put the platform out there and hope that people are going to come build on top of it, because the future of finance is at stake. And so we've been taking a very direct role in the building of the applications that are going to be launching on top of Wanchain.
So let's talk about some of the applications. You showed us some of these applications earlier. Talk to me about what's going on in this diagram.
So when we think about cross-chain technology, what we think about are ecosystems. We think about what we see are these intranets, these blockchains that are effectively islands that don't communicate with one another. And so our core protocol it connects all these to create a really vibrant ecosystem where value can flow between blockchains. But within our ecosystem, we want these projects and these applications to reinforce and support each other as well. And so what you see here are not only our first 3 projects, but this is our first ecosystem that we're building, and all 3 of these projects help and reinforce and support each other.
Okay, so let's talk about CryptoCurve. What is CryptoCurve?
So CryptoCurve is the front end for Wanchain. It's a wallet that is focused on bringing blockchain technology to the masses. Really, wallets, you can think about them as the equivalent of browsers for blockchain. This is where the end user is going to interact with blockchain technology, and the goal is to make it clean and simple enough so that your grandma can use it.
Freedom, what's Freedom?
Freedom is our stablecoin focused specifically on financial inclusion. A lot of people talk about financial inclusion being one of the major use cases for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. The fact of the matter is that the current existing financial system is so expensive that it can't economically service 2 billion people on the planet, particularly Africans, for whom 80% are unbanked. And when we looked at this problem, one of the things as an entrepreneur I do is I really try to look at find the root cause of the problem. And so what we could do is we could go to Africans and give them, CryptoCurve and wallets and access to digital tokens and things like that. But it won't solve the fundamental problem that their currency is being debased. And so they're losing, there's currencies in Africa that are losing 40% year over year.
You don't have to tell me, we live in Africa. Right. We've seen our currency devalue. But how does Freedom solve this problem? What's the algorithm behind it, or how does it keep that stability?
So it's a commodity-backed stablecoin. And so it has commodities that also use something similar to MakerDAO. And so there's a financial instrument that provides the stability, but also with physical commodities backing it. So it's kind of like it's a hybrid of, there's a couple different existing stablecoin models that exist. However, all of the ones that are known to quote unquote black swan events where the stablecoin breaks. But this is a new model that takes kind of the best of both and combines them into something that's unique and that we think that will ultimately be stable in the long term.
Abacus, that's one that I'm fascinated about, because that takes the financial system and kind of breaks it down into modules, right?
Yes, exactly. So in our mission to rebuild finance, one of the things that we see and we understand is that the reason the financial system is so ineffective is that it's very focused on manual processes. And so these manual processes don't scale, they don't allow for things like machine-to-machine interaction. And so what Abacus does is takes a lot of the components that exist in the existing financial services industry, like regulation and risk mitigation, or compliance and risk mitigation, and breaks them into modular pieces and puts them into smart contracts that can be automated.
And this lives inside the native token?
Yes, and so this means that you can actually take these smart contracts and this regulatory compliance, and bake it into the token itself.
Okay, so slow down. That means that today, if you want to transfer a token from one person to the other, you have to trust the exchange or the service provider to comply with the KYC processes.
Yes.
What you're saying is that that can now be built into the token. And so the token can't really be transferred unless the KYC is done on the token.
Exactly. We're currently living in a world where you have smart exchanges and dumb assets, and the future is one where we have dumb exchanges and smart assets, where the asset will not allow itself to be transferred unless the receiving party passes a compliance check.
We spoke earlier about some other Chinese ventures that you guys are involved in. You spoke specifically about Utour, GameBank, and Allspark. Tell us a little bit about how the Chinese ventures fit into the Wanchain project.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're very proud of is that not only are we cross-chain, but we're also cross-culture. We're very unique in the fact that our foundation is in Singapore, and we have a strong presence in both Beijing and Austin, Texas. And so we're able to bridge this gap between East and West. And these are three of our first Chinese projects that all have very large existing user bases in the number of like millions of users, and bring vertical expertise in the realms of travel, gaming, and media.
So let's talk a little bit about them. What is Utour?
So before getting a little into Utour, the thing that's different about these three is Allspark, GameBank, and Utour is that these are actually standalone blockchains. We call them industry chains, whereas Freedom and Abacus are more applications that live within Wanchain. These are actually blockchains that are industry specific that will link to Wanchain using our cross-chain technology.
So this is exactly the magic of Wanchain, because though the top ones are applications that you need to run your own blockchain, wallets and financial tools, but what you're saying is that these are all specific blockchains.
Yes.
And you can plug in hundreds of blockchains because Wanchain actually allows blockchains to connect with one another.
Yes.
Tell me about Allspark.
So Allspark is a media chain. And so we see all sorts of problems with Facebook, with them controlling user data. We also see problems in the media whereby media enterprises like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter change the rules of the game, midstream after companies have spent millions of dollars building up their user bases, and then all of a sudden one day they say, sorry, when you post on Facebook, if you want anybody to see it, you got to pay us.
Well, that's centralization.
Correct. And so think about these like public utilities, like a media chain that's a public utility that anybody can build their media application on. We see venture capitalists now are having huge reservations about investing in projects building on Facebook because of something they call digital sharecropping or lock-in, because you build on this infrastructure and you don't know how the infrastructure underneath you is going to change. And so by building these public blockchains with this focus on media, travel, and gaming, we help to change that.
Tell me about GameBank. That one sounds interesting.
Yeah, in the gaming industry, so you have all the same kind of problems that I just mentioned with media, but you also have huge middlemen. In GameBank, it's generally the game developers only make around 15% of the profits. The rest of it go to the middlemen that are the platforms that they're launching the gaming on. And so there's when I see those kinds of numbers, I think there's a middleman that can be disrupted using blockchain technology.
So I'm used to seeing presentations on stage, but I'm used to seeing Apolo Ohno on another stage. Not a stage like the one we have here, but more on the Olympic stage. How do you get into crypto from being an Olympic athlete?
You get into crypto there's actually quite the history now. You've got the Winklevoss brothers who are in crypto. They were both Olympic athletes. But I think we might be the only ones in the space. I was brought in by some very close friends of mine. I retired in 2010 from competing in the Olympic space, and I was just ultra interested in the entire decentralized, democratized economy and the power that the blockchain can give to communities around the world if utilized properly and if given the access.
So what were you presenting on stage today?
So I was concentrating today, our company Hyperblock concentrates on exchanges. So we build crypto asset exchanges for people to buy, sell, and trade, hold crypto assets. But my real passion is actually in driving forward the education around what this new asset class is about, how we can further legitimize it, how we can work together with regulators to make sure that they're informed enough to make the right type of decisions to not only protect, but create the right sandbox for everyone to play in. Right now we're so early. I mean, you've been in the game for quite a long time, and that's the one component that's missing, I think, is the right type of legal framework that allows easier access to banking, easier access to existing systems that we need as a bridge until we fortify this entire economy and grow accordingly.
Now I want to talk more about Hyperblock and what is Hyperblock?
Yeah, so Hyperblock is an ecosystem that is designed to give access to our cryptocurrency exchange. Whether you are a new user, a beginner, you've heard it from your show, MSNBC, you got excited and they want to participate in some capacity, or you're an existing crypto asset holder and you're looking for an exchange that's got a single unified point of global order books so that you have the depth and the access point from one exchange, one screen, one KYC AML process versus having 10 screens open and trying to do the ARB yourself, and then those who are professional traders. So although we're one exchange and our engine is robust and can handle the type of breadth of infrastructure needed to grow in the space and scale, we've got different faces for depending on the user who's using the platform.
But do we need another exchange? There are hundreds of exchanges, and if you look, probably the top 20 have real volume.
Absolutely.
You're coming in with another exchange. Why is your exchange going to work?
I think we believe in two things. One, the institutional market has not yet come into the space yet, so they're not using an exchange that they trust, they feel is compliant, or meets the standards and needs that an institutional or a large high-frequency firm would utilize. That does not exist yet in the space. We feel we can fill that void eventually. And on the retail side, around the world, we concentrate on Asia, Europe, and in the Middle East. So there is no true easy access point for people to get fiat into the system to begin participating in some capacity. And I know all of the hardcore crypto heads out there are like, what's fiat? I haven't used fiat in years. But the reality is, for the majority of the world, they want to participate and they have to use the existing system in some way. So I think there's a blend here, and we feel we're going to be that first bridge.
So what features can we expect from your exchange?
So let's talk about Hybrid Terminal, for example. So this is a downloadable, executable file that runs as a program on your PC, ultra low latency. It shows you which exchanges are online. You've got 12 to 24 different windows, semi-customizable. This is really geared towards the institutional or pro trader, people who've ran prop trading firms. They come from the equities markets, they've done options, derivatives. They like to have market-making windows, time, date, and sale, full depth and history of order book. They want to see your ability to check ping times, the speed, the millisecond speed in which you're transmitting the data from this exchange versus another and around the world. So these types of tools and sophisticated access points that we have through our preferential API with the other exchanges is critical to making sure individuals who have large amounts of capital can deploy that capital onto the market, right? And do
now,
that.
What if I'm a beginner investor? I'm starting up. Do you have a program for the beginner investor?
That's my favorite. So the beginner investor is my absolute favorite because this is the person who they're eager, they're hungry to learn a little bit. They want to learn, what is a Bitcoin? What is Ethereum? What is the blockchain? Can I participate? What does that mean if I participate? All these questions, we want to answer these. So we're going to have a web, a mobile version, and an app that's going to help educate, inform, and equip people before, during, and after they buy their first crypto, and take them through the process easily. So fiat, getting into the crypto ecosystem, and to understand just how powerful this community can be.
And when can we expect the exchange to launch?
We're shooting for May right now.
You're shooting for May this year?
Yes.
Is there going to be a token associated with the exchange?
There will be a token associated with the exchange, yes.
And when can we expect news on the token sale?
I'll let you know soon.
What brings you to Dubai? Well, we came actually, first of all, to let the world know of the expansion of blockchain technology in Africa.
And that's a wrap of our Dubai show. That's all we have time for here tonight. I'll see you guys next week when I'll be back in my Johannesburg studio. Until then, happy trading, my friends.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.